Hi. Of all the scenes, like the outdoor locations that you filmed on For the Hobbit, was there one that you did not like at all?
Outdoor locations that I didn't like? Oh, no, honestly, no. The locations were amazing. I mean, it was a fantastic privilege doing the film from that point of view, because you were allowed access to Department of Conservation land that you know, a lot of the time people aren't allowed to go into by definition, really. And so we would be helicoptered into some of these places and allowed to run around and be, you know, dwarves in Middle Earth. So yeah, I never complained about that, and we were very, very lucky with the weather. When we did the barrel sequence, we were taken to Pelorus River, which is beautiful. If you've never been, it's absolutely gorgeous. And we were taken there, and you know, it's a big sequence. You're in a river, in a barrel, and obviously we expected maybe a bit of stunt doubling involvement in that. And I remember we arrived, and Peter just took us up to the top of this promontory, this bit of rock looking out. Let's show the guys what's happening. And around the corner, this barrel appeared with a stuntman in it, and he was wearing a wetsuit and a crash helmet. And I thought, right, okay. And so he goes around and he paddles along, and he gets to this little beach, and then he does a sort of scuba dive backwards into the water, crawls up onto the beach, and done. And we're all very impressed, we all applaud, and then Peter says, yep, okay, so should we shoot it? And we're led, like lambs to the slaughter, down to this place where they've all been waiting for us all along with these barrels that are held by a single piece of safety rope. And they get us into the barrels, and then when we're all in, Peter says, okay, just get to the beach however you can, and we'll film it. And that was it. They let go of the safety rope, and we went off into the river, and we were quite literally paddling for our lives. And you know, a couple of the guys breached the other safety rope, William Kircher and John Callum. They ended up heading towards the sea, so they had to send a boat after them to rescue them. Richard overshot the beach and ended up in this swirling, like, whirlpool of water, and he quite literally nearly drowned. And you know, there were people diving in to help him, because of course we were wearing these, they were like diving boots. And it was insane, absolutely insane. And that was quite extraordinary. But the worst, I think the worst wasn't the location, it was the fish. It was having the fish poured on our heads, because that was just disgusting. That was, I think it was 200 kilos of fish each of us had poured on our heads. And we started doing it, and again, we're brought in, you know. And the thing is, as we did that film, we realized that Peter chose people quite deliberately to do certain things, just because he wanted to have a laugh, really. And so we, you know, me and Richard and Adam and William and Mark were chosen to do this particular sequence, and we walk in, and the place already stinks of fish. And of course, and again, naively we thought, well, they'll just use fake fish. They didn't need real fish. No, they were real fish. And we watched the stuntman again, I think it was the same guy actually, and he was in the barrel wearing a wetsuit and a crash helmet. And he shouts fish, and they pull the fish and they bounce off his crash helmet, and they go up to his chest, and it's all like, yeah, there you go, great, okay, who's first? So I think I went in first, and we did it with up to the chest, which was pretty unpleasant. And then Peter said, no, there's just not enough fish. There's not enough. So they had to get enough to cover our heads. So we're completely buried, entombed. And I don't actually know whether that really comes across in the film, how completely covered we are with fish. So we get in, and it was Adam Brown who went first, who revealed on the day that he was phobic of fish. And I didn't even realize such a thing existed. I didn't think there was such a thing as fish phobia, but he has it. So he can't stand the taste, the smell, the touch, anything to do with fish. So he gets in a barrel where he's going to have 200 kilos of fish poured on his head. So he sits there, and there's a trough above his head. And then you had Andy Serkis, who was shouting out the directions. And he was going, okay, Adam, you're seeing Luke. Luke's talking to a guy on the wharf, and you're looking a bit suspicious. You don't know what's going on. You're a bit worried. And fish! And they pulled the thing, the trough, and it just went, brrrr, and he was gone. He disappeared. And there was this moment where we all just went, oh my God. And then Andy said, Adam, can you hear me? Adam, say something, can you hear me? And of course, having done it subsequently, he couldn't speak because he'd managed to get a little tiny air pocket with his hand, like that. And that was the only way he could breathe, and he couldn't open his mouth. And even if he had opened his mouth, you wouldn't have been able to hear him through all the fish. And so people were, they were frantically trying to, and I really, for a moment, thought, oh shit, he's dead. We killed him. We buried one of the dwarves in fish. And of course, they could only get one fish out at a time. I don't know why, but they can only get one at a time. So they're pulling it out like this, and slowly he appears. And the poor guy, and he's just covered in fish gunk. I mean, his hair, everything. And then we all had to do it. And both Richard and I were speared by fins that cut through our prosthetic, and Richard, they cut his face, they cut my head, and we had to do it 3 times each, I think. And we stand, even now, telling the story, I can still smell them. It was vile. That day was one of the worst. And Peter just laughed his head off. He thought it was great. And Peter as well hates fish. Hates them, because that's why he had to be in another building directing remotely through Andy's circus, because he couldn't be in the same room as the fish. I thought, great, yeah, well, we'll just get buried in them 3 times. Cheers. So anyway, yeah, that's a day on the Hobbit.
Is he more or less afraid of fish now?
Oh, he's probably, yeah, that would make you more afraid, I think, yeah, definitely.
We've got time for one more question.